If you're a man who's been in the dating game long enough, chances are you've run into that woman, the one who keeps you close enough to give you hope, but far enough to keep you frustrated. She responds just enough to keep you interested, shows up once in a while with charm, and disappears when things start to get real. You find yourself thinking about her too much, wondering what she's doing, why she's acting like this, and what you did wrong. But here's the truth. You probably didn't do anything wrong. She's stringing you along, and it needs to stop. This video isn't about theory. It's about spotting the cold, hard signs that a woman is wasting your time, and what to do about it like a man. No sugarcoating. No pretending it's complicated. It's not. When a woman is keeping you around without giving you anything real, she's benefiting while you're losing time, energy, and confidence. You're stuck in limbo, thinking maybe she just needs more time. Maybe she's been hurt before. Maybe she's different. No. She's showing you exactly what she wants, and it's not you. At least, not in the way you deserve. Every man needs to know how to read this game and step out of it with his head high. The longer you stay in this, the more it chips away at your self-respect. This video will give you 5 solid signs she's stringing you along, plus the real reason behind it, and how to end it without begging, without over-explaining, and without losing your edge. Watch this till the end. This is for men who are done with wasting time on mixed signals and ready to take control of their dating life again. Let's get into it. 1. She's hot and cold. You ever watched a game where a star player is on fire in the first half, dropping points, commanding the court, and then suddenly disappears in the second half like he forgot how to play? That's what it feels like dealing with a woman who's hot and cold. 1 minute she's calling you babe, laughing at all your jokes, replying fast, talking about the future like you're her number one. The next minute, she vanishes. Takes hours or days to reply, acts distant, cold, like you don't even exist. That's not confusion, that's control. This is one of the oldest plays in the book, and it works because it hits your emotions in waves. When she's hot, you feel seen, wanted. You think you're getting closer. When she's cold, you panic, question yourself, and chase harder. That emotional roller coaster makes you more invested. It's like gambling, like sitting at the slot machine and getting a few wins, just enough to keep you hooked. And every time she pulls away, you try harder, thinking maybe it's your move that will flip the switch back to hot. Let's talk real world. Think about Leonardo DiCaprio. For years, people joked about how he always dated models under 25. Then as soon as one got older or got serious, boom, he'd be gone. Now imagine you're one of those women thinking you've got a shot at something real, but he's only showing up when it's fun and dipping when it's not. That's the emotional pattern a lot of men fall into with women who play hot and cold. It's a performance, a cycle. And the worst part is, when you're in it, it feels like you are the problem. You're not. A guy once told me how the woman he liked would FaceTime him every night for a week. Then the next week, silence. Then out of nowhere she'd DM him, say she missed him, maybe send a selfie. He'd fall for it every time. It wasn't love, it wasn't interest. It was her keeping the hook in. You've seen this before. You might be living it now. Hot and cold behavior isn't mystery or emotional damage or some deep romantic storyline. It's deliberate, even if she doesn't admit it. Some women love the attention, others don't want to be alone but also don't want to commit. Either way, it's not your job to solve it. You're not her therapist, you're not her emotional support animal. You're a man with value, and a woman who's really into you won't make you guess. So ask yourself this: if you were watching your best friend go through this, what would you tell him? You'd probably say, bro, she's playing you, walk. You have to give yourself that same advice. When she runs hot and cold, you don't turn up the heat. You walk out of the kitchen. Because if she's serious, she won't leave you guessing. 2. You're not a priority. Think about your favorite team in any sport. Whether it's football, basketball, or soccer, they always have that one player they build the entire strategy around. That's the player who gets the ball in crucial moments, gets the most playtime, and has the coach's full confidence. You are either that player in her life, or you're on the bench, watching her give her time and energy to someone or something else. When a woman is stringing you along, you're never her priority. You're not the one she rearranges plans for. You're not the one she checks in with. You're the guy she hits up after everything else is done, after her job, her gym, her girls' nights, her social media scroll, her other texts. You're an afterthought, not the main thought. Let me be real with you. A man once told me how he had been talking to this girl for 3 months. They had chemistry, long phone calls, even went out a couple of times. But she never once initiated anything. He was always the one texting first, always the one asking to meet up. And when they did hang out, it was always on her terms, her neighborhood, her timing, her rules. She made it seem like she was so busy, but then she'd post stories hanging with friends, taking weekend trips, or just out having brunch every other day. Somehow, there was never time for him. That's not busy. That's a message. Look at celebrities. Drake once said in an interview that if a woman really wants to see you, nothing will stop her. She will find the time. Whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, she'll make it happen. But when you're being strung along, every plan becomes complicated. Every meetup feels like a negotiation. You start feeling like you're asking for favors instead of making plans with someone who's genuinely into you. What does this do to a man over time? It starts to chip at your self-worth. You start thinking maybe if you just said something differently, maybe if you were more patient, maybe if you impressed her more, then she'd finally make you a priority. But that's backwards. A woman who wants you, shows you. Period. You don't have to chase her down like she's your only shot at love. Being someone's priority doesn't mean she cancels her life for you. It means you feel considered, respected. You don't need to wonder where you stand or if she's going to flake again. You shouldn't have to feel like you're trying to earn your spot in her life like it's some kind of competition show. Look, if you always have to ask for her time, her energy, her presence, you're not her first choice. And if you're not her first choice, you're not in a real relationship. You're just an option, sitting in her back pocket while she lives her life. 3. She avoids real talk. Let's bring this one into focus. You ever watched a movie that has all the signs of building up to something powerful, but then it just drags, adds filler scenes, and never delivers the moment you're waiting for? That's what it feels like when a woman avoids real talk. There's no resolution, no clarity, just empty vibes that keep you watching, waiting, and hoping for something deeper that never comes. When a woman is stringing you along, one of the biggest red flags is her total avoidance of any serious conversation. The moment you try to bring up where things are headed, she gets vague. She changes the subject, jokes it off, or suddenly becomes confused about everything right now. You bring up commitment? She says, let's just see where this goes. You ask if you're exclusive? She says she's not ready for labels. Sound familiar? This isn't about timing, it's about intent. When someone actually sees you as part of their life, they don't get nervous about talking straight. They want clarity as much as you do. But if she avoids real talk over and over, that's her way of keeping you around without actually investing. It's like giving you just enough rope to follow her, but never enough to tie down anything real. A man once told me about this girl he'd been seeing for over 6 months. They acted like a couple, sleepovers, dates, even met each other's friends. But anytime he asked about what are we doing, she shut down, said she didn't want pressure, said she was focused on herself. But that same week she'd be out flirting in clubs or posting thirst traps for validation. That's not someone working on themselves. That's someone keeping you around while keeping her options wide open. Let's throw this in the context of sports. Imagine a coach who keeps promising you're going to start next game. Week after week, he says the same thing. He tells you to be patient, to keep showing up. You do. But game day comes, and you're still on the bench. Eventually you realize he was never going to play you. He just didn't want to lose you as a backup. That's how this woman is treating you. You're being used as a placeholder. You give her attention, you give her consistency, you make her feel wanted. But the moment you ask her to be clear, to be real, she dodges it. That's not confusion, that's her knowing exactly what she wants, and keeping you from realizing what you deserve. Here's the truth. If she avoids real talk, it's because she knows the answer isn't what you want to hear. And instead of giving you honesty, she gives you delay. That's not respect. That's manipulation in disguise. 4. All take, no give. You ever notice how in relationships, just like in team sports, the best ones have flow, balance, and teamwork? Think of LeBron James. Sure, he's a superstar, but the man passes. He involves his teammates. He knows when to step up and when to support. That's how real partnerships work. But when you're dealing with a woman who's stringing you along, that balance doesn't exist. You're always the one giving, while she takes and takes, without ever matching your effort. Let's make it clear. Giving doesn't just mean money. It's your time, your attention, your emotional energy. It's the way you show up for her when she's had a bad day. The way you support her goals, check in when she's distant, help her out when she needs something. You're always pouring into her world. But when it comes to you, crickets. She's too busy, she forgets, she downplays your needs, or she gives you just enough attention to stop you from walking away. A guy once shared how he used to drive across town every weekend to see a girl he was into. He'd take her out, pay for everything, even helped her move once. But in return, she never offered to come to his place, never planned anything, never even asked how his week was. She just showed up, received the attention, and dipped when she was done. That's not dating, that's being used. If every conversation starts with her venting and ends with you reassuring her, and you walk away feeling drained instead of energized, that's a one-sided dynamic. And it's not just unfair, it's dangerous. Because the more you give without getting anything real in return, the more you lose sight of your own value. You become the guy who's always trying to prove himself, always hoping that if you just keep showing how good you are, she'll finally choose you. But real relationships don't work like that. Let's put this in movie terms. Ever watch The Pursuit of Happiness? Will Smith's character, Chris Gardner, gives everything to build a future for his son. But imagine if his son never showed any love back, never appreciated the sacrifices. Would the story still feel powerful? No. Because what makes that story beautiful is mutual love. When you're stuck giving with nothing coming back, it stops being love. It becomes servitude. Some women love the role of the receiver. They treat your kindness like a resource. You become her therapist, her emotional crutch, her maybe guy when her real options fall through. But she'll never reciprocate, never give you the same energy. Why? Because she doesn't want you. She wants what you do for her. A woman who's into you doesn't just take. She matches your energy. She wants to pour into you the way you pour into her. If you're not seeing that, you already know the answer. 5. She keeps you guessing. Let's talk about one of the most draining games in the dating world, guessing. When you're constantly unsure where you stand with a woman, if she likes you, if she's seeing someone else, if she even wants to keep seeing you at all, you're not in a relationship. You're in a mental maze. It's like watching a suspense movie that keeps dropping hints and twists, but never actually gives you a clear ending. You sit through it, waiting for that aha moment, but it never comes. That's what she's doing to your emotions. Keeping you guessing is one of the smartest manipulations a woman can use when she's stringing you along. It works because it creates just enough hope to keep you hooked. She sends mixed signals on purpose, responds to texts with emojis one day, goes radio silent the next, calls you my person one night, then doesn't even look your way for a week. She might even throw in subtle flirty compliments or deep personal stories to stir emotional closeness. But when you try to take things deeper or define what's going on, she backs away or says you're overthinking. I knew a guy who met a girl at work. Cool vibe, same humor. They texted every day. She'd drop hints like, I wish I had a guy like you. Or, you're the only one who really gets me. Naturally, he caught feelings. But anytime he tried to move forward, she'd pull the brakes. I'm just not ready. Or, let's just keep things how they are. Meanwhile, she'd post pictures with other guys, flirt in group settings, and play innocent when he brought it up. He spent a year in that limbo, never together, never fully apart, just stuck. Now apply this to sports. Imagine being signed to a team but the coach never tells you your position. You're not sure if you're starting, sitting, or getting traded, but they still make you practice, show up, give everything. That uncertainty eats you alive. Same thing happens in these situationships. You're investing time and heart into something that won't even define itself. That uncertainty isn't romantic, it's a trap. And here's the psychological part. When people don't know where they stand, they obsess more. That's the hook. She doesn't want to commit, but she also doesn't want to lose the attention. So she feeds you just enough to keep you chasing clarity that will never come. It's like chasing fog. Men, listen close. A woman who truly wants you does not keep you confused. She'll want you to know how she feels. There won't be mixed messages. There won't be you trying to decode text like it's some kind of puzzle. If you always have to ask your boys, do you think she's into me? Then deep down, you already know she's not. Confusion is a sign, not a challenge. And if she keeps you guessing, she's already made her choice. You just haven't made yours yet. 6. Why she strings you. Let's get to the root. Why would a woman keep a man around if she doesn't truly want him? Why not just let him go? The answer is simple. Value. Not the kind of value that leads to love or commitment, but utility. She strings you along because you serve a purpose. You give her attention, comfort, validation, maybe even gifts, time, or emotional support. You become her emotional safety net, a backup plan, or even just someone to keep her entertained while she figures herself out or waits for someone else she really wants. In every industry, there are people who keep others around just in case. In Hollywood, you see this with agents and actors. A studio might keep an actor in mind for a role they'll probably never get, just so they don't lose them to another production. That actor stays loyal, keeps hoping, keeps waiting for the call that never comes. It's business. It's brutal, but it's exactly what some women do in dating, only it's not business, it's your heart on the line. She may not even see it as cruel. In her mind, she's not doing anything wrong. She's being honest by never labeling things, but actions speak louder, and the action is this. She wants the benefits of your presence without offering you the respect of commitment or clarity. You're emotionally investing, thinking it might turn into something real. She's emotionally coasting, knowing she has no real plans to build with you. There was a guy I spoke with who had been talking to a woman for almost a year. She wasn't dating anyone else officially, but she also refused to define what they were. Whenever he pulled away, she'd reel him back in with kindness, vulnerability, or even physical affection. But it always stopped just short of real intimacy. One day he found out she'd started seeing another guy seriously, while still texting him good morning every other day. She didn't want him, but she didn't want to lose him either. Some women string men along because they like the feeling of being wanted. It boosts their confidence. You become a mirror that reflects their desirability back to them. The more you chase, the more they feel in control. And some, even subconsciously, use that power to fill their own insecurities. Others do it out of fear. Fear of being alone, of closing the door on a guy who's nice, even if they're not into him. So they keep the door slightly open. Not enough to let you in, just enough to stop you from walking away. Either way, you're not being chosen. You're being kept. Understanding why she's stringing you along isn't about sympathizing with her. It's about waking up to what's actually going on. This isn't some mystery you need to solve. It's a pattern you need to end. 7. How to end it. Right. Ending it with a woman who's been stringing you along isn't easy. Not because of her, but because of everything you've invested. Time, energy, hope. You didn't just fall for her, you fell for the idea of what it could have been. That fantasy keeps a lot of men stuck. But if you've been watching this far, deep down, you know the truth. You're not in something real. You're in something convenient. For her. And now, it's time to shut it down like a man. Think of your favorite athlete who had to walk away from a team that no longer respected his game. Tom Brady leaving the Patriots. Cristiano Ronaldo walking off a team that stopped putting him in the starting 11. These weren't emotional moves, They were power moves. A decision to stop wasting greatness in the wrong place. That's the energy you need when ending it with a woman who never planned to go all the way with you. You don't need to beg. You don't need a dramatic speech. And you definitely don't need closure from her. Closure comes from you, from choosing to walk away with your dignity intact. A simple, direct message like, "I've realized this isn't what I want. I'm looking for something real. Take care of yourself." That's all. You don't owe her a breakdown of everything she did wrong. You don't owe her a last chance. You owe yourself peace. One man told me how he spent months trying to figure out the perfect way to tell her he was done. He wanted to say it in a way that would make her realize what she lost, that she'd suddenly come running back. But that's not how this works. When someone strings you along, they already made peace with what they're doing. You think your absence will change everything, but in reality, your strength in walking away is not about changing her. It's about changing you. Here's what happens when you end it right. Your confidence returns. Slowly at first, then like a flood. You stop checking your phone. You stop second-guessing yourself. You start attracting women who actually respect your presence because you respected yourself enough to leave what wasn't growing. You're no longer emotionally tired, no longer trying to read between lines that were never going to form a full sentence. You're free. And don't be surprised if she tries to pull you back in after you walk. She'll feel that shift. Maybe not because she suddenly wants you, but because she misses the attention, the access, the comfort. Stand firm. Remember why you left. You weren't happy. You weren't valued. You were stuck in someone else's game, but now you're out. Ending it the right way isn't about revenge or drama. It's about making a quiet, solid decision that you will no longer waste your life in someone else's gray area. You know what you want, and you'll no longer settle for less. If you saw yourself in any part of this, it's time to stop making excuses for her and start making decisions for you. A woman who strings you along isn't confused, she's comfortable. And the longer you stay, the more power you give her over your time, your energy, and your self-worth. You don't need to prove anything, you just need to walk. Respect isn't given to the man who waits around. It's given to the one who knows when to leave. Choose clarity. Choose peace. Choose you. Because the right woman won't play games, she'll show up ready. Period.